more than likely, you've performed this as a kid in elementary school. You've probably played the recorder and sang a song with all your music classmates. But did you know that there's more to this event than just recorders and elementary school children? I'm here to show you one of the pillars of Jackson's Welsh heritage, the Eisteddfod. The Eisteddfod, in Welsh pronounced Eisteddfod, dates back nearly 900 years. The first recorded Eisteddfod was held in 1176 at Cardigan Castle in Cardigan, Wales, and was just a small private event with a small panel of judges. The first large-scale Eisteddfod took place over 550 years ago in 1451, but was still a private event. After the second event, several prizes were given out. A miniature silver chair to the successful poet, a silver cruse to the winning fiddler, a silver tongue to the best singer, and a tiny silver harp to the best harp player. And if you're thinking, why the heck is a chair prize? Well, the reason the chair was important is that chairs had a perceived social status where high-backed chairs with armrests were reserved for royalty. Years later, Queen Elizabeth I actually commanded that the performers be examined in order to maintain a high standard for the performances. Finally, in 1789, the first public Eisteddfod was held and sparked a great revival for the arts in Wales. In 1858, John Williams, no, not that one, established the first true national Eisteddfod of Wales in Llangollen to publicly celebrate the culture of Wales. Today, the National Eisteddfod of Wales takes place over 8 days in the first week of August. Over 6,000 people compete for awards in music and poetry, and over 150,000 people attend the event. In 1818, 6 families decided to leave Wales for America, led by John Jones Tierbach. The 36 of them arrived in Baltimore and headed on their way towards Cincinnati to meet up with other Welsh immigrants. They stopped and got police for supplies, and the women refused to leave because they were so exhausted from spending 4 months traveling at sea. In the following decades, thousands of other Welsh immigrants settled here in Jackson and Gallia counties. And as we know from our studies this year, as people spread, their cultures spread as well. As the Welsh came to southern Ohio, the Eisteddfod tagged along with them. The first local Eisteddfod was held in 1875 at Oak Hill. Thousands of people attended the event. Nearly 50 years later, in 1922, local Welsh businessmen formed the Southern Ohio Eisteddfod Association to preserve the Welsh language and the cultivation of poetry and music. The Eisteddfod snowballed here, and it continued to gain more and more popularity. It became so popular that in 1928, an Eisteddfod auditorium was built on South Street, and boy was it big. The auditorium could seat over 2,000 people in the crowd, and the stage could hold up to 500 people. And back in 1924, the school Eisteddfod was created to lead into and go along with the adult event. Flash forward to 1930. A national Eisteddfod is being planned, and Jackson wants to host it. Some of the competitors to host included Utica, New York, Chicago, Illinois, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. How could Jackson even begin to compete with these cities, all bigger than we are? Well, it turns out Jackson was believed to be the only city on earth with a building dedicated solely to the practice of the Eisteddfod. And for this reason, Jackson pulled off the upset and was named the host of the 1930 Grand National Eisteddfod. When it came time for the event in October, the newspaper actually had to ask all local houses with extra rooms to host guests, as they anticipated 500 singers to compete in the national event. 11 ladies' choirs, 9 male choirs, 7 mixed choruses, and 3 bands performed. The event was a smash hit, allowing the Southern Ohio Eisteddfod Association to bring other events to Jackson. People from as far as New York, Chicago, even Canada came to perform. Unfortunately, the last Eisteddfod held in the auditorium was in October of 1938, because of the declining economic conditions as a result of World War II. In February 1973, the Eisteddfod Auditorium was sold and later burned down to the ground. Despite all of the catastrophe, the school Eisteddfod remained. Spearheaded by the face of the Jackson music program, D. Merrill Davis, the school Eisteddfod continued to take place in Jackson. He was the driving force behind the event from 1938 to 1974. From 1924 to 1974, Jackson City Schools actually required all students to sing a solo with piano accompaniment in the Eisteddfod. Today, elementary music students perform at their respective schools in the Eisteddfod, performing songs both on the voice and the recorder. Held at the newly renovated Marquette Cultural Arts Center, the high school and middle school Eisteddfod is open to any student in band or choir taking a piece to the Ohio Music Educators Association solo and ensemble event. I myself have performed at the Eisteddfod for the past 3 years in preparation for OMEA solo and ensemble. Here's a small clip from my performance last year. Potentially the coolest fact about the Eisteddfod in Jackson is this. We're the longest running school Eisteddfod in the entire United States. Even though they say it every year at the Eisteddfod, the magnitude of this fact doesn't really strike you until you sit down and think about the number of districts in the U.S. and how long our nation's been around. That's when it really hits you. Jackson truly has something to be proud of in the Eisteddfod. Some may dismiss as just that school thing where the little kids play their recorders and sing their songs, but it's truly a foundation for our town and a pillar of our Welsh heritage. I know I'm very proud of it, just as we all should be.